Alright, let's go ahead and start in on the second piece. And before we do that, let's make sure we officially name this here. We'll just call this one our magic effect. So that's going to be the first part of the name that we put to it. Let's go ahead and add a new particle effect here. So we'll just go to hierarchy and particle system. And go ahead and just left click and drag and drop it into your magic effect. And then this particle system, this one, we're just going to call this edge. It's going to be the side little corner pieces of it. Make sure that you also set this to 0, 0, 0. There we go. So we have our one piece starting here, and then we want to have kind of like that little spray that goes around it, that little edge piece that happens for it. So let's go ahead and start setting that up so we can have it working for us. First thing we want to do is click on the edge, go down to your render, and we're going to change the material out to the one that says edge over here. So I'm just going to drag it over to my material slot, and now you'll see the material that we have right there. Alright, so we're going to use this one and we'll start creating something really cool with it here. Let's go ahead and do a couple of things. First thing we want to do is actually change the type of render mode for it. So it's not a billboard directly, we're going to do a stretch billboard. So just like we've done before, the stretch billboard is going to allow us to actually pull the pieces out so that they're wider, they're longer than the square. Right. The next thing we want to do is the length of it. I'm going to go ahead and start the length at 10. Now it's going to seem a little bit long to start with, but we're going to start taking it down in size, adding the color, the size over lifetime and all those to start pulling everything back in. So let's go ahead and take, for instance, we've got the edge. Let's do one more sort mode. I'm going to go ahead and just do this while we're down here. Go ahead and do by distance. That way we're for sure to draw these elements in front of the that small piece in the base object, and also the front and back of the other ones. Let's go ahead and go up to the top here. So inside of our edge, we don't want these to last for 5 seconds. We want them to last a little bit less than the other one. So I'm going to do 2.5. Let's see, this was 3. Yeah. So we want the edge to go away before the center one goes away. We'll go ahead and turn off looping. So it's only going to do it. So for instance, if we were to simulate all the effects, we want to see that one. This will go for 2.5, and then this one goes. Yeah, so that'll work out like that. So on the edge part, let's go ahead and start setting this up so it works right. On the first part, we have the start lifetime. We just want it to last for 1 second per, once it spawns, just stays in the scene for 1 second. The speed rate that we have on this one, I'm actually going to go for a negative 0.1. Okay, so we're just going to have it go, and it's not going to be moving upwards, it's just going to be kind of showing as it goes around. The start size for this one, let's go ahead and set up a 2 constant here. We want to, the size, we don't want them as big as they are, we just want it at a kind of a smaller value. We'll do like a 0.05 to 0.25. Let's see how that looks real quick. There we go. So that's getting closer to the right size for it on it. For the rotation side, we can go ahead and do the same like we did with the other one. We'll go ahead and say that the value for the rotation, we'll do a 360 rotation on this one. There we go. Alright, so we're starting to see the pieces going upwards. They're staying in that same location. They go from a small to a large, which is good. I'm going to do one last part on here. I'm going to go into my, actually we'll go ahead and do our shape and our emissions here. The rate, let's bump this up to about 400. Stop and simulate. There we go. So we want it to feel kind of impressive when you're going through it. So it's going to have this really nice solid element right there. Let's go ahead and change our start color. Forgot to change that one over here. For this one, let's try to keep it consistent with the same color you have here, or at least close to same type of color. So I'll try to get to the same one on this one. There we go. And I'm going to take the alpha down on this. We'll take it down to about 1/2, so we'll do 128. And then my other is 50, 76, and we'll do a 250. Alright. And let's make sure we take the magic effect. I'm going to drop the alpha on this one just a little bit, so it has a little bit more of a see-through feel to it. There we go. So now all of a sudden we're starting to get the pieces going across here, but notice where they're spawning right now. So when we simulate, what we're looking at is they're all coming from the center, but we don't want to come from the center. We want it to actually come on the outside ring going around here. So let's go to our edge, and then inside the edge we have our shape with a cone, but what we want to do is, instead of having the emit from right here, we want to actually emit. If you click on the drop down, what you'll see is a base shell. The shell is the outside edge in between the two. So let's actually go for that, and then let's make sure we go, we're going to go a little bit wider. We'll go for about a 45 just to start with and see how it looks. And then let's make sure that we get the circle to be the same size as the other. So let's go ahead and simulate this. Let's see. So it's actually, that was pretty good on the other one. We'll take this one back into 1. There we go. So we're pretty close with that. We'll do a 0.75. Alright. So that's getting pretty close. Kind of giving you, hopefully you're starting to see where we're going with it there. Alright. I'm going to take my emission rate. So we're going to play with it for just a second here. There we go. So 200 might be a good number too. 400 is pretty nice. It's like really solid inside of it. Alright, so we have our edge working almost complete. Let's finish off a couple other elements to it. We'll go ahead and go to the velocity over lifetime. And for this one, I just want to take the velocity on this and do a negative value, similar like we did before. We'll do like a negative 0.01, kind of like the start speed going downwards. We want them to go, but then we want it to feel like it's being pulled back in, so your focus is on that circle piece right there. Alright, and then we'll go from the velocity, and let's go down to our color over lifetime right here. And the color over lifetime, we want that fade from the top and the edges, so very similar like we've done before. We'll take our alpha and take both the outside edges to 0. We'll place 2 points in the inside, and let's drag those back up to 255. And then the points for where they can be, you could do 75% on one and 25 on the other. There we go. So that by itself, what that's going to allow us to do is have a little bit more softer fade on both of those pieces, which is going to be a good thing on it. Alright, so now we can do one more step, which is going to be our size over lifetime. And for this one, just want to make a gradual curve. We're not looking for, let me click on this to open it. We're just looking for a small to large on the point. Actually, we can click on the one angle right here, and I'll go for about a 0.2 up to a 1. We might go a little bit less. We'll see how it looks. There we go. So you notice how it started. It actually grew out from it. There we go. So let's try, instead of going all the way to a 0.1, let's actually take this down to about a point, just about like a 0.75. There we go. So that's got kind of a nice feel to it. It kind of grows over and goes. If you want, you can actually have it go up and then go back down. So if you remember, we could go halfway right here. Just as an example, we could go halfway, bring it up to here, and then we could actually bring it back down to there. So at this point, I'm just kind of, hopefully just kind of playing around enough that you can kind of see where we could take it. For this one, there we go. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take the piece on this one. We'll go ahead and just go to our editor. That way we can add the tangent handle to it. So we can do this one. I'm just going to do a left tangent with linear. Again, I'm just right clicking on these. Right tangent with linear. There we go. And then we'll move it over so that it has a longer time to show, and then it'll just kind of drop off at the end, but it'll shrink. And let's go ahead and take a quick look, see if we like how it plays out right there. So it has kind of a fun feel to it. It's noticeable at the very end how it just pulls back in like that. So if you're wanting an effect like that, that would be cool. If you want an effect where it feels like it stays and it just slowly goes away, then you probably want to get rid of the extra curve that we have here. Alright, I'm going to try 400 on that emission rate one more time just to see if it'll... There we go. It's actually kind of looking better with that 400 on there. Alright, so that'll finish off our edge that we have on there. Overall, it's just basically taking those couple of areas where the stretch billboard is pulling out the shape for it there, and then making sure we do a sort mode by distance so we can see the things in front. And then the other elements was just our duration ends. If you remember, this ends before the center thing ends. There you go. So that's going to be our basic edge piece to it. The last one we'll do is just have a couple fun little particle pieces coming up from the center of it, just to give it rounded out with one extra element.